Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam64, and welcome to the RoboCast. I'm joined alongside,
Anderson9132, the RoboCast guru.
And Steve, the American Killjoy.
and we have finally made it. We've made it to the end
Yay!
of the 2018 season.
Ho, ho, hey, ho.
We have two guests this week. Guest number one, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Dom, also known as Doodle or the Seaborg. I am the creator of BattleBots and Robot Wars Crack and the series BattleBots vs. Robot Wars.
And guest number two,
I'm Matt Vasquez, the driver of Whiplash from BattleBots.
from the final four, no less.
From the final four, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you had quite the season. Obviously, up to this point, you only had the one loss against Tombstone, so no shame there, really.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot better than we thought we would do. I mean, we had some good momentum going from Robo Games the year before.
Yeah,
We did well there, so we knew that the robot didn't suck. So
That's always a redeeming quality.
yeah, I mean, after Season 1 and Season 2, we really didn't get to test it out too much. I mean, we had a couple fights, like grudge matches, and we had one fight against Warrior. But none of them, the robot didn't really work so well in any of them, and we didn't really know if the robot was a good idea to begin with until Robo Games. Because for Robo Games, we're like, we have this robot from BattleBots. We need to like see if it's good or if not. We want to just run it at this event, and if it works well, we'll keep doing it. If not, we'll sort of scrap the idea. And it ended up working. So
because a lot of people might not know, you actually had Splatter in season 2. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
Season 2.
it didn't quite work out the same
Yeah.
way Whiplash did, but the leap forward was amazing. What was the big change really between the two?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because Splatter and Whiplash are really the same robot. They're nearly identical in almost every way. The only difference was in Season 2, we just had stupid problems. One, we had one drive sprocket, like a dual drive sprocket, like crack in half. So we lost half our drive, and that was just like a stupid problem. And we had the chain for the lifter break, which was another stupid problem because we put the wrong chain on. So it's like we had little teeny issues that just ended up being completely detrimental to us. But yeah, Whiplash is basically the same robot with just a few teeny changes and just some better choices. Instead of doing the shells for looks, put more armor on it. We upgraded the drive motors for this season, but really it's the same thing. It just works now. That's the best way to put it.
I mean, one thing we have noticed throughout this season is a lot of the new builds in season 2 going into season 3 were much better. Like, obviously, they had a bit more testing and obviously time to improve. Bite Force being a very good example of that, which we'll get to later.
Like Scorpios and Sawblaze are really good examples.
Yeah, exactly. They've really turned up.
Rotator.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, Whiplash is another one of those. Going from Splatter, which didn't quite pan out the way you expected in the first case, to obviously now where you're a semi-finalist.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Robo Games is definitely a big part of that. Being that knew we could win fights and that we had some confidence in the robot. But yeah, I mean, the thing about BattleBots we're worried about is at Robo Games, there's really not that many spinners in the heavyweight class. There's like, you have Blast Strikes, you have Tor Maximus, there's Tombstone and Minotaur, and maybe a couple others in there. But at BattleBots, it's like more than, I'd say 3/4 of the field is just insane spinners, which is what we were mostly afraid of.
14 of 16 in the bracket had some kind of kinetic energy.
Yeah, exactly. So that was our main concern, because Whiplash, we had the design for Splatter and Whiplash. It wasn't even meant to be like a robot that would win every event. It was supposed to be something that would be accepted into BattleBots in the first place.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like we were trying to design the most competitive robot ever. We just sort of figured Season 1 was a good opportunity to try something new and do something a little bit different, I guess.
It clearly worked.
Yeah, I mean, we really had no idea if it was a good idea or not. We just wanted to get accepted in the first place.
Right, and the design has evolved, so it's obviously looked. I mean, I think this is the best it's ever looked, in my opinion. So
yeah, I would say so myself. I mean, I think we even got a little bit lucky with this design because I mean, no one had really ever done it before. We just kind of thought of it like, okay, no one's done this. Let's try it, see if it works. And it didn't work at first, but now it seems to be a valid design to go far. Yeah.
Before we get on to the episode itself, I have to say, that Bronco fight was an absolute masterclass. So massive congratulations. That was spectacular.
Oh yeah, thank you guys.
What were your actual thoughts when you found out you were drew against Bronco? Did you think you could take him on, or were you a little bit worried, or a bit of both?
I mean, once we got to the bracket of 16, I think our nerves had calmed because when you're in the fight card matches, I mean, even if your record is 3-1, like most of the robots that got in, you still don't know if you're going to get it in or not. And that was, I think, once we got into the tournament of 16, our nerves kind of went away, and we said, okay, if we have nothing to lose at this point, let's just try our best, and whatever happens, happens. So once we beat YETI, we were, that was a tough one. That was a close fight. And then once we got to Bronco, we were kind of like, all right, we lose to Bronco. No one's going to hold that against us. Let's just go in there and see what happens. That was kind of our attitude going into that fight.
And then you accidentally won.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though your dad betted on freaking Bronco, it's just like, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they were looking pretty unstoppable. It was just kind of we had the right robot to fight them with. We just hit a lower front end and were more maneuverable, and that was really all we needed.
It was a pretty phenomenal fight, I have to say. But
yeah.
with that said, we'll move on to the episode of which is of course the final. It's been a long and tiring journey, but here we are at episode 20, and it starts
Sam,
off. Go on.
Do you want a quick comment on his fight against YETI, because we didn't talk about that last week?
Good idea. Matt, talk us through.
Okay.
So the YETI fight.
Yeah.
I will say when we found out we were fighting YETI in the round of 16, we were pretty happy about that, because YETI is not the worst robot for us to fight against. It's not really necessarily like it has a giant drum on the front, but it's not necessarily like a kinetic energy weapon kind of. It's more of a grinding drum than, say, a vertical bar, disc spinner, or, a tombstone or ice wave, which we were very happy about because we're well suited to fight a robot like that. We had the big plows on the front, which were pretty much perfect for fighting YETI. The one thing we were worried about, and what did end up almost killing us, was that YETI doesn't really... Their strategy is just go forward. They don't care if they get to your side. They're just going to push straight against you. And that makes it very hard to get around them, because they're not trying to get around us. They're just going to go hit us wherever. They don't really care. So a lot of the fight was a pushing fight, which was very bad for our robot, because Whiplash does not like pushing. And you could see at the end of the fight where our drive motors were smoking and we were not moving the last 5 seconds or so. So we were very close to losing that fight.
Saved by the bell.
Yeah, exactly. Saved by the bell. But I think we had the design advantage in that fight. Just, them having such high ground clearance. That was really a perfect fight for us in a lot of ways. But then again, it was a pushing fight is not what we want. That's not at all what we want.
A robot like YETI, obviously, former semi-finalists themselves. You have to think.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to, respect them. Obviously, going into the arena, but obviously you came away with a couple of wins and made your way all the way to the semis. We went to your fight with Bite Force a bit later. Obviously, first of all, was the Donald Hudson somehow making it to the semi-final with Lockjaw once again. The guy just he loves a BattleBots final, doesn't he? But he didn't quite make it this time because Minotaur really turned up the wick towards the end of this season, didn't it? I'm going to come to Dom first, because Dom's been a bit quiet.
This was an interesting fight, to be honest. This was a very, very interesting fight for me personally, because I'm a huge fan of Donald's robots. I've loved Dissector, Tazbot, Lockjaw. Initially didn't like the he went from a 4-wheel drive jaw to a 4-wheel drive vertical spinner, like most of the field this year. No offense. But I think that Donald and Lockjaw proved that they deserved to be there, considering they had most fights than anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just that they had to face the worst, probably the deadliest robot left in the field.
Yeah.
That
was it's kind of interesting. The Final Four, it was us and Donald are kind of like the interesting sort of experimental robots. And then you have Minotaur and Bite Force, which are just I guess you could say the apex designs that are solely there to win. Like they are there to win it. Like us and Lockjaw are more there to kind of experiment and see what we can do with an interesting design. And it definitely showed that Bite Force and Minotaur were the apex designs.
Well, obviously I'm sure you must have had an eye on this fight, quietly, just in case you did go through to the final. And obviously I believe you beat Toro Maximus, didn't you, at Robo Games?
Beat Toro Maximus at Robo Games, but I don't know if it would have been the same at BattleBots, being that one, they know how they lost that fight, and they're probably running better at BattleBots than they were at Robo Games. But then again, Whiplash was a lot better than it was at Robo Games. So maybe it could have gone either way. I don't know. I would have much rather fought Minotaur than Bite Force. I'll say that much in the semifinals. Because Bite Force is just the worst fight for us. Minotaur, we can maybe get underneath them and flip them a couple times. But I would have liked to fight Minotaur. Maybe we'll see him next season. Who knows?
Well, obviously, you have got a big target on your back now, so obviously maybe they'll put
just
you...
like YETI last year, where like they came out of the woodwork, and then all of a sudden, here we are.
Obviously, we did kind of guess last week that Minotaur probably would win this fight because as Matt rightly said, it is very much a tried and tested design. It's much more solid than say Lockjaw, which is a lot more experimentational, if you like.
Yeah.
As a fight, it was entertaining. Lockjaw took a lot of hits. I was very impressed how long it lasted in this fight. To be honest with you, I was expecting wheels to fly off pretty much instantly, but no, it kept going. And credit to him, he was driving the wheels off that thing. But Minotaur, when that thing cranks up, it's just so dangerous. And
I was expecting something very Endgame. You know what I mean? Like when Endgame fought Lockjaw, I was expecting similar effects with wheels flying off and. We didn't quite get that this time, but those wheels actually held up really well to all the little hits from Minotaur in this fight, and it was I guess it's just a testament to design and Donald making sure it doesn't get a clear shot at that side. But I mean, it wore it down. Minotaur wore it down in this fight, and it was cool to see another one of Donald's robots actually make it deep into a tournament because he's got the pedigree.
For sure.
But I mean, it just wasn't going to work this time.
I think it was most of the forks in the front really weren't the best for Minotaur because he was just chewing them up, and they were gone pretty quick and just started getting in the way of the discs on the front of Lockjaw. So I think that was a big problem for them. But I'm curious to see what they do differently next time.
Anderson, I'm going to come to you. What do you think?
Good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically, I think 90% of the people expected this one to go the way it did. I agree. I'm with you, actually, Sam. I'm actually very surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised. That's a bit of a discredit towards Donald, but I was expecting a wheel or two to go flying. So the fact that it held up, it was as sturdy as it was, actually did surprise me relatively well. So I do hope Donald, if it does come back, and I really do hope he does another good crack at it because he deserves another one. To be fair, he does. He's a good guy, from what I can tell, and he's a good roboteer. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Lockjaw is also, in my opinion, one of the coolest robots there. Just like how it looks incredible.
It's a question. Would you have liked to have fought Lockjaw?
I think it would have been a really fun fight. It would have been another lifter spinner like us. I would have loved to fight them. I kind of wish we got to do a third place fight. That would have been.
That's
fun.
what I was going to say. BattleBots should do that. They never do it, and it upsets me. They should have a third place fight.
Absolutely.
Then again, Whiplash wasn't necessarily in the best shape after that.
No, I can't imagine.
Very true. Very true.
I don't know about having another fight that same day.
Well,
it may have been tough.
Yeah, BattleBots, if you are watching, by the way, make sure there's a third and fourth fight next year.
That'd be super cool.
Come on. It's
Next year we'll have more space.
To be fair, you had only 4 fights in this episode. Usually you have 5, so there was a chance to have one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. True. Shocking stuff. Anyway. As Anderson did say, it was a nice segue to see who would fight Minotaur in the final. Matt, I'm sure you want to talk us through this one. Bite Force, what was the game plan?
So for Bite Force, one interesting, I don't know if a lot of people noticed this, was that we didn't have the spatula on the lifter. We just had the 2 UH&W forks that rest underneath the spatula. The idea with that was every time we fought a spinner with Whiplash, the steel spatula on the lifter comes off immediately. Like if it gets hit, it comes off. And normally takes part of the forks with it, which was our main concern, that he would hit that spatula, it would come off, and it'd rip off the forks with it, and we would have nothing and be completely screwed. So just having the forks themselves, we figured if he hits one fork, that'll be gone, we'll have the other fork, and maybe be able to get underneath him. But that really didn't end up mattering because Bite Force is so low, and he drove it so well that he just didn't really care where he hit us, he just went straight at us. And pretty much any time we went head-to-head, he was going to win that. So our only chance was getting around him in the very beginning before he hit us, and that obviously did not happen.
I think the first hit he got your wheel, didn't he? Pretty much the first hit anyway.
I think the very first hit he hit one of our wedges, and I think that actually the first hit killed our disc spinner, which didn't really matter because I don't think we were gonna hit him with it anyways. But I think that was just like a slaughter on his part. He just killed us completely. So I mean, next time we'll have to make some adjustments, some attachments for vertical spinners.
I mean,
he nearly used your robot to hit himself with. You see it quite clearly. There's a moment where he hits Whiplash from the side, and it goes flying and hits the glass, the side of the box, right where his head is. It's like, thank God that's there, because otherwise, well, there would have been a death pretty much.
there would have
I
been
forgot how big some of those hits were. Those are some massive hits. I mean, Bite Force hits hard. That was a crazy fight.
We've said
It's
multiple
not hard.
times.
It's fucking daft.
we've said multiple times this year that Bite Force is ridiculous. How is it another level like compared to all the other verts, or is it quite comparable?
I think power-wise, it's similar to a lot of the vertical spinners, but just the design is so perfect. I mean, it's really a perfect robot. I mean, Huge almost got it because that's sort of a weird circumstance fighting Huge. But any normal robot, it's very hard to fight Bite Force. I mean, the only two robots will Chomp beat Bite Force from hitting the chain.
Chomp is the best robot.
Huge,
exactly.
It's not the best robot.
Huge almost beat Bite Force by also breaking the chain, and he just kind of got unlucky in that fight.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wouldn't say unlucky. I'd say Bite Force deserved it 'cause he survived. But, I mean, yeah, Bite Force is very hard to fight. I'm not exactly sure what to do against them. You just got to maybe outreach them with some long forks or something. That's all I could think of.
I mean, in fairness, obviously you did eventually lose this fight. I think there's absolutely no shame losing to Bite Force, considering how dominant it's been this season. So, an astonishing season for yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were very happy with how we did.
Yeah, I mean, rightly so. I mean, let's face it, you only just slightly differently could have ended up beating Tombstone. You beat Bronco as well. What more can you say? It's been
it was a
good season for
beyond
you
our
guys.
expectations, I would say.
Yeah, you've come a long way from Matt's Bammer.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Anything more to add to Bite Force and Whiplash? Dom, anything to add?
Yes, I have quite a lot actually. It's times like this where I wish that Bite Force was still his season 1 form, because I feel like a clamp fight between Whiplash and season 1 Bite Force would have been an amazing spectacle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would have preferred that. I would have much preferred that.
However, giving credit to Paul, he knows what he's doing, and despite coming back with a robot that he hasn't really touched in 2 years, he shows that it can be a monster. And I feel like in this episode and in this match in particular, he showed that he was out for blood, like Ray was in season 2.
Yeah,
he didn't change it much, except he's just stuffed a 4-mag in there and just said, let's see what happens.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. He's I think he's really the first person to do the weapon motor like that. Have 4 short mags in there.
Yeah,
it was honestly pretty genius. I mean, it's a lot more expensive than the tech, but it's a lot better.
Yeah.
I think
redundancy is the key to success.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all that reliability in the world. With that said, Matt sadly does bow out for now, but I'm sure if there is a season 4...
My pick goes out, why?
Hey, at least it made it to the top 4 this time.
I know.
Yeah, we're happy with that.
Poison arrow.
We did have some light entertainment before the final, though, which was, I have to say, Chris and Kenny, you need to wash out your mouths. That was terrible. I mean, I was stunned they let that on so early on TV. I mean, fair play to them. They're obviously having a lot of fun with it. God bless them for it.
Comedy Central took BattleBots back. That was
it slipped me anyway, but that was good fun. I will say, Tantrum, fair play to it, took an absolute beating and was fairly solid after that.
Yeah, it looks like how it looks like how if I fought Tombstone, that the face.
Yeah,
I like what I would look like. Being like, oh my god.
It was incredible. It wasn't really a fight. It was a bit of a exhibition and a bit of a mismatch, but it was great fun. And the fist getting stuck in the wall, that was just gold. That was. I hope it's still there. I hope they still haven't been able to get it out.
Well, the funny thing about that was it hit so it hit like a tube in the corner of the arena, and what's in the tube is all the electrical lines for the arena.
Oh no!
So that was very concerning for the crew, because they were like, that was right before the finals. They're like, do we leave it in there, or do we take it out and risk everything shutting off?
That'd have been
ruining everything. So they're like, you know what? We're just gonna leave it in there. Nothing turns off.
Be there forever now.
That
And
was a little concerning.
we moan at Will Thomas from Aftershock for destroying the Robot Wars arena, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
Shutting down an entire arena with a bit of piss.
I mean, it could have shut down. I think if had it gone a little bit deeper, it could have shut everything down, and that could have been pretty bad.
Yeah,
But,
we don't want to put the fists any deeper than it was.
No.
Oh, God. And we're off the air.
What's a whole new meaning to five knuckle shuffle?
Oh, dear me.
Quick question,
looking
by the way. Quick question, by the way, Matt. They mentioned in this, that Ray literally, apparently, after his loss to Bombshell, went in there and said, "Yo, does anyone want to fight me?" And these guys were the only ones who put their hands up. Is that true, or is that just played up for TV? Because I'm generally interested.
I'm actually not sure because that was around the time we were kind of getting ready for the finals. But
Fair
I think maybe Tantrum just said like, "Do you want to fight us?" Kind of. I don't know because I think Tantrum was looking for a fight, and I think Ray was also looking for a fight. So it just kind of happened. They're like, "Okay, we like this matchup. Let's put it in there."
I mean, it was kind of funny because obviously the actual bar of Tombstone is probably bigger than bloody Tantrum is. It was amazing to watch. It was such a weird spectacle seeing this tiny little robot take it on. But
I just think that proves that Aaron Hill has probably got the biggest giant nuts going, and for actually having the balls to do that. So fair play to him.
Yeah, it was a really good. Entertaining scrap. Obviously, there's no third and fourth place, unfortunately. So, which makes me sad. Maybe
I feel like this episode and this match and the match previously made me double check while I was watching because I feel like I was watching Terminator at the point because I thought Skynet had actually happened. Judgment Day has arrived.
Oh dear me.
I think also that this match shows that. Oh God, I forgot what I was going to say. It's scary. I think Way was just laying his anger out essentially on Tantrum, and he was having a tantrum himself probably.
Yeah.
This is for Bombshell. love from Reddit or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fair play to both teams because they basically they had a great fun. You can tell they're having good fun there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having an absolute laugh, and that's what it's all about, really. You don't need to take something like this too seriously. It's just a bunch of fun. You're all to do the same thing. Either get wrecked or wreck someone else.
Yeah, and I think Tantrum only had 2 fights up to that point.
Yeah.
They only fought a Battle Royale Cheese, and who else did they fight?
Mecha Rampage.
Mecha Rampage. That was it.
Why was that? Do you know? I don't know. I honestly don't know why that was. Why did they only have 2 instead of like the usual 3 to 4?
I think there were a few robots that weren't working so well. I think Tantrum was one of them.
Vanquish was also one of them because Jack
Vanquish,
was ill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got our robot working. Oh well, Tuesday wants an extra battle. Okay.
Honestly, I think that's what it was. I think he was just like, you know what, we only had 2 fights. Like, it's the end of the event. Let's just like go out with a bang or something. I don't know.
Literally.
And it did do so.
You don't want to go to an event and then leave with a perfectly working robot. You know what I mean? You want to have some scars.
Yeah, we definitely didn't leave with a perfectly working
I
robot.
was gonna say, I've followed, a lot of your social media pages. Is it you only had 1 frame? That's true? Is it? You had 1 frame for Whiplash for the whole season?
Yeah, we just had 1 frame. It was the same as season 2 splatter frame.
Oh no way!
Wow.
Same frame.
The one that got
Still
rotated.
going. I mean, that's honestly why. That's part of the reason we lost the Tombstone like we did. Is that the front of the robots? I mean, the armor held up perfectly fine. It was the front of the chassis just got ripped off with the armor, which was sort of why we ended up losing like we did. So I think next time, because we already have 1 new frame built, and we have a second one that's ready to be welded together. So these frames are going to be significantly stronger than the current frame we have. So I think that will help a lot against horizontal spinners like Tombstone or Ice Wave or YETI. The issue is vertical spinners.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tricky.
Verts are scary, man. Verts are scary.
Yeah.
With that said, speaking of verts, I suppose we better discuss the championship fight, hadn't we? Really, between the Brazilian Bull and the former champion. It's Minotaur and Bite Force, which, to be honest, started off in Minotaur's favour. Minotaur was able to get underneath Bite Force, which I was kind of like, oh damn, didn't see this coming.
He was the first person to do it,
and then
no one else got under him.
And then just eventually, I mean, it just got to a point where Bite Force was just hitting it so hard. I mean, Steve, I liked your analogy of what was happening in that fight.
So there was a point in the fight that if any of you guys own the toys for BattleBots, You'll notice that the damage that Bite Force deals to Minotaur is very similar to how the armor falls off of Minotaur. It just pulls the whole side off, like it was just a bigger version of that Hexbug toy, and that was awesome.
What I liked about this fight was when Paul noticed that Minotaur's drum had stopped. I think he thought, I'll be fair to him. I'll stop mine, and see what we can do. But when he realized that Minotaur could outpush his, he was like, no, abort mission, Deathcon 4, put it back on.
Yeah.
And then when it was dead, he just shoved it into the screw just to make sure. I was like, yeah, you stay there, bitch.
I think Bite Force's weapon legitimately stopped because even when it did spin back up, it wasn't nearly as powerful as it had previously been. Like when it spun back up again.
They might have lost a motor or something.
Yeah, it could have been something like that. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think those hits from Minotaur definitely did something to Bite Force. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, Bite Force was never really hit like that besides maybe the huge fight. So that was really the only damage he's taken this whole event. So, I mean, I think that something was wrong in there, and he wasn't spinning like he was before after those hits.
Well, if you're watching, comment below.
Yeah.
Probably isn't, but,
if you're out there,
I don't know, Matt's on, so maybe he will be, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows, who knows. Obviously, Bite Force, incredible performance, and obviously knocking Minotaur out in the end, I mean...
Yeah.
To go 8-0 and unbeaten all season as well, it was just...
that's incredible.
I didn't think, anyone could go... I mean, obviously, it happened in Robot Wars, but, the caliber of competition in America is obviously really, really high.
Yes.
It was incredible, the fact that Bite Force has come back as well from a kind of a disappointing season last time. I think that's fair to say, because obviously, it did have the loss to Chomp, and he's come back to prove a point, and my God, he's proven it.
7 knockouts, 7.
Yeah,
right.
And the only one that wasn't was the first fight.
Yeah, against Blacksmith, which you can't kill.
I suppose for you, Matt, as well. Kind of. A bit of vindication that you lost to the champion. Really, I think must be quite nice.
I mean, we lost to Tombstone, who was last year's champion, and Bite Force, who was the other champion. So I mean, we did. I don't know. There's just the 2 robots we need to figure out how to beat now. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
You weren't far off. So I mean, there's no.
Yeah.
We mentioned toys earlier. I wouldn't figure myself if I didn't ask. How about a Whiplash toy? What do you reckon?
Whiplash toy? I mean. Really, at this point, we have no idea if we'd get a toy at some point. Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, it really comes down to there's 2 factors of what toys they choose to make. 1, it's the most popular robots that fans like the most.
True.
2, it's the robots that are easy for them to make.
Yes.
So you have the Tombstone, the Witch Doctor, the Minotaur, the Beta, the new Witch Doctor, and the Bronco. Were all fairly simple for them to make.
Obviously, you've got two
so
moving
it really
parts,
comes
haven't
down to. Yeah, I mean. Not necessarily. They could do it so it's just the lifter and the spinner's just kind of there for looks, or just spins freely, or they could do just the spinner and have no lifter. I'd be fine with that.
They could do what they did with the Matilda run for Robot Wars, have dual channels.
Yeah,
maybe.
Could do that.
I mean, the thing is, they want to keep them really simple, which is, I think that works against us. I remember Sawblaze, they also had an issue with that. It was, too much going on. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll get one. The only reason I would think maybe we'd get one is that we are very similar in size and, with this little vertical disc to Witch Doctor. So they can use a lot of what they use for Witch Doctor for us, which I think really helps us out. Especially I don't know if you guys saw, but Bot Bash, like the little fairy-weight robots. And so they converted the Season 1 Witch Doctor toy into a Whiplash toy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that kind of makes me think that Vex could do something similar, use the same tooling for the Season 1 Witch Doctor and make a Whiplash. But I don't know. Might happen, might not.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Which I think that pretty much brings us to the end of the episode, and indeed the end of the season.
Can I just say something quickly about this last match?
Yeah.
Whenever someone will ask me what is Robot Combat or what is BattleBots, I will just show them this episode, because this has just been textbook on how a series and how an episode of combat robots should be shown.
Yeah, for sure.
As for the season as a whole, my 2 cents is for the season. It's done a lot of things right. Obviously, there's been a lot of people moaning about the controversy with Bombshell. I don't really pay much mind to that.
It's our new tornado razor.
It really is. It really is. But I understand the frustration. at the end of the day, it's happened. Get over it. Come on.
Yeah,
O-
it
o-
happened months ago.
Other than
Go
that,
outside. Have a wank. That's a more useful
Oh
use of
man,
Oh.
and we're off the air.
Seriously.
we're off the air again.
Sorry, I apologise.
But you know, real talk. You know, as a whole, this season has been, you know, way beyond my expectations as to how good it actually was. It was phenomenal. You know, this was, it was really well presented. You know, well edited. All the fights were, for the most part, really good. You know, there's nothing I can really say to, you know, except can we have at least 2 or 3 more seasons, please?
Absolutely.
Do it up, please.
You know, like I think, you know, at this point it's fair to say that it's been one of Discovery's most popular shows. You know, if not the most this year.
Screw you, Mythbusters.
They've had to compete with a lot of popular things too. The NBA finals, the NHL finals, the amount of controversies there are in American politics. I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, it's hard to get a lot of eyes to just watch one thing for as long as the show is going on.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like we've had one season of BattleBots where there was 3 seasons of Robot Wars in the same. It would fit in. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I just hope there's more of it to come. I'm fairly confident that there will be. You know.
Yeah.
But,
Dare I say that my favourite show has now changed?
Ooh. Spicy.
You're not British then, are you?
Come to the dark side.
Spicy. I mean, look, it's from my 2 cents. As I say, it's been an incredible season, and I think, you know, it's just been a real nice ride. You know, there's been, you know, lots of, you know, a bit of odd humour in there from, you know, the cold opens and things like that. There's been the serious stuff when the tournament started. You know, it was hyped up nicely.
Yeah.
From my 2 cents, you know, this has definitely been the best season of rebooted BattleBots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't really got anything more to add than that, except I say bring on more.
Yeah.
I think this series has definitely shown a lot of things. Like, the series has evolved along with us. So originally it started off as like, oh god, here we go, the old robots are going to win again. And then as we got to like the top 16, we see all these interesting designs like Sawblaze, Monsoon, Whiplash, and we all think, hold on, these guys can do really, really well. And then it gets to the final 4, and it's the 4 best drivers in the entire sport. So you have yourself, Matt, with Whiplash, silver finalist in Robo Games. We have Donald, who has been a phenomenal driver for like 2 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
We've had Paul, who won a nut already, and we have Damien. Is that his name?
Daniel.
Daniel from Minotaur, who's also claimed to be one of the best drivers of all time.
He also has a very excitable face when he was driving.
Great for TV.
The only 2 drivers missing from this were Matt Maxim and Gary Jin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
hopefully
really
Matt comes
sad
back
Matt
next
didn't
year.
make it this. Yeah, I know. I'm really sad he didn't make it this year. He's a great personality to have on television.
Bring
Absolutely.
back Nightmare.
Jim too, man. There's a lot of Jim and John Reed. Like, they all got to come back. You know, it's
Season
Razorback.
4. I want more.
Yeah.
Screw you, China. Come back to America.
You know, what
Hopefully
about
Matt Maxim will come back.
yeah? What about, you know, Anderson or Steve? You know, you go next. What you know, thoughts on the season as a whole?
Anderson can go
Steve?
first.
Oh, okay, I'll go first. Right, now,
I'll be the gem.
me being British, I've got to compare it to Robot Wars, you know, come on.
Here we go.
It's the rule. So overall, I'll admit, you know, I'm going to say it now, I'm not a massive fan of Craig or Chris. Sorry, Kenny or Chris, sorry. Especially Chris. I find his voice a bit grating sometimes, so I think JP's commentary is a bit better. I prefer quite a few British robots because, you know, British pride and all that. So with all that being said, BattleBots 2018 is quite simply the single greatest series of Battle Robot I've ever watched. And yes, that hurt to say. It really did, but it's just incredible. I cannot believe I'm saying this. Oh, BattleBots has overtaken Robot Wars for me as well. It's really painful to say it because I'm British and Robot Wars is me, and it had Firestorm and Craig Charles and everything. And
I don't think BattleBots will be topped, sadly.
I do. I feel like a disgrace to my country. I really do. But it's just the way it goes. BattleBots has done it. It's fantastic. It felt like an adventure. For the first time since I was a kid, I've literally been, you know, when I was a kid. It was on Friday on BBC Two. The minute it finished on Friday evening, the only thing I would think about till the following Friday was Robot Wars.
Yeah, of course.
And it's pretty much been the exact same thing now.
Absolutely.
And that's impressive, because even the reboot didn't do that of Robot Wars for me. I didn't do that, and I'll say this now. I did not have many expectations for this season. I'm not gonna lie, because I wasn't really a massive fan of the previous 2 reboots of BattleBots. They were okay, but they weren't anything out of this world. I am so happy to be called wrong on this one. I couldn't be happier to be proven wrong. And god damn it, if they cancel it, I'm gonna fly, literally one-way ticket to America, and I'm gonna go to the bloody offices. And I'm gonna smack someone's head in.
Wait. Did you hear that? He's agreeing with us.
Oh,
He's agreeing with us. Holy crap!
It's a sign of change.
The cynic has become a fanboy. And I just want to say a massive congratulations as well to Paul Ventimiglia. Is that how you pronounce his last name? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
Ventimiglia, he has built an absolutely fantastic machine, and to be honest, he does deserve a second championship, so well done to him. And I cannot wait to see him try and retain it next time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the really incredible thing is he won 2 championships with 2 completely different robots.
I know.
Yeah.
2
That's
different
something
styles.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
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 I mean, okay, one of them was a heavyweight hazard, but we'll let that one slide.
Oh, brutality. That's true.
Oh yeah, I guess 3 now.
Yeah,
I guess
that's 3
technically
championships.
three,
now.
'cause he won the charity open.
Yes.
Yeah. Brutality, Byforce 1, Byforce 2.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Steve, what are your thoughts, my friend? Because I've waffled on now for a while. Because I'm stupid.
Steve.
Well,
Oh, go.
yeah, I'm just kind of collecting my thoughts. Where back when I was a kid, I lived in the Northeast area, and our local public broadcasting system picked up our local public broadcasting system, WHYY, decided to pick up a show from the BBC called Robot Wars, and decided they'll show it just because, and they were all over it, and it was season 2, it was series 2, and it was the first episode I ever watched was series 2, semifinal 2, I think, the one with Roadblock in it, and that one, like that kind of birthed the love of robot combat for me. And then I found out that BattleBots was a thing, and then that was shown at 10 o'clock on Comedy Central, and I was a very young kid, so I had to get my VHS player and put my VHS tapes in and set it to record at 10 o'clock because I know I couldn't be up that late because I was young. Yeah, right. Yeah, I had to be asleep by 8:30. And it's just so cool. I'm kind of building up to seeing how cool it's been to see the show evolve over the years. When it went off the air, of course I was very upset. And my friends in my development, we all used to talk about this show because it was a big deal to us. We were like 12. But it was really sad when it got taken off the air. So when ABC when I heard that ABC was going to bring it back, I'm thinking, man, finally we're going to see some more fights on TV. It's like, well, what's happened? Like, how has it evolved since I've seen it last? It's been so long. And then you got your 2 ABC seasons, and it didn't fit ABC, in my opinion. Like it was cool to see it on on a low channel on something that would get a lot of eyes, but it didn't quite jive with ABC, and I think that's why they canceled it. It didn't fit their audience really well. Plus, they have a lot of other shows that do a lot of other things, and they have things that shuffle in a lot because I mean it's a low network, like a low number network. I get it. I know there's a lot of production that happens behind the scenes, so things have to get cut for new things to move in. But when I heard that Discovery was going to pick it up, Discovery Incorporated picks it up, and well, actually, it was Science that was re-airing all those season 1 and 2, and you saw it building steam and thinking, man, are they finally gonna get a season 3? Because that "we want season 3" hashtag had been been trending amongst us for quite some time.
Yeah.
When they finally confirmed it, and we started hearing things and started seeing pictures and started hearing about this fight card format and how we're gonna see all these dream matches that we'd never seen before, we were all really excited, and I was worried. Because all this hype, and I was actually nervous, secretly nervous that like if it wasn't as good as people were expecting it to be, that it wasn't going to do as well, because people were expecting so much, and then I was worried for it. But I'm so glad that I think the marriage of Discovery and BattleBots and Whale Rock, it's in the right place now. I think I really hope we get at least 4 more seasons, not just 3. Let's get
4 more decades, more like that's what we want.
I mean, it's just such a cool niche sport, and I think it's done better, I think, because there's a lot of programs in the United States that kind of foster STEM education. First robotics being a huge thing in the States, where a lot of people that are in that kind of work their way towards more things technical, and I think a lot of people kind of play around with robots because it's just like what we do. I can say I was part of that, and it's even fostered more of this engineering into me, and I think I can attest that Robot Wars and BattleBots have actually given me direction to actually, because I'm actually studying engineering in college right now, and I think without these kinds of shows, BBC, are you listening? Without these kinds of shows, you're gonna lose the people that would have gone in this direction. So it's so important that this kind of stuff. I didn't want this to turn into this, but this is what's on my mind, and it's so important to have this kind of direction, like to have these people that you look up to, and I'm just really happy that this season ended the way it did. I mean, you got the repeat champion, that was cool. It was just so well put together, so well produced. I just hope that we can get more of this and it evolves, and I just want to see more. So, and that's all I'll say. I know I'm a little winded now, but I think that's about all.
We'll pry Matt for his thoughts. Obviously, you two you also grew up with BattleBots. In fact, I think there was a great photo of you and the Inertia Labs team.
Yeah, I love that.
Inertia Labs.
That was great. Obviously, what were your thoughts overall of the show coming back, and then obviously your season sort of adventure as a whole?
I mean, when it came back for season 1, I think in 2015, we were all really excited, but no one knew exactly what it was gonna be at first. Like, we kind of knew, we were like, BattleBots is coming back, but is it gonna be like the old BattleBots? Are they gonna change the rules? Are they gonna, make the arena different? Are they gonna, what weight class are they gonna use? But yeah, when it all sort of came together, we were all really excited. The first one was just kind of a weird experience because you just had, no one really knew everyone who was in, and we just kind of all showed up there. And we had 20 teams of just people from all over the U.S., all over the world. And then one thing I actually noticed a lot is that season 1 and season 2 was sort of a very different atmosphere than season 3. I think season 1 and season 2 with a single elimination and stuff, everyone was really nervous for their fights, and everyone was kind of like uptight and just kind of really didn't want to lose. And for season 3, everyone was a lot more relaxed, I think. I think that's part of the reason the season was so good, because I think everyone was on their game this season.
Yeah. Well, I heard there were a lot of Nerf dart wars in the pit.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
You can't be serious 100% of the time. Come on.
Yeah, there are a lot of Nerf guns in the pits.
Yeah, as a whole, the show just seems a lot more relaxed. It's on a channel which supports science-based educational shows, and I think the future is very bright. Which I think when obviously Robot Wars went away and obviously BattleBots wasn't in uncertain waters. We didn't really know what was going on with it. It was kind of quiet for 2 years. Everything. Obviously China was taken off massively, but in terms of where the core fan base was, at the moment, it kind of looked a bit, quite sad. There wasn't really much, in terms of television, at least, in terms of, the future of the shows and such. With this season of BattleBots, I think it looks like it's in a really good place, and I'm very excited and very hopeful that we're actually going to see a lot more shows going forward.
Yeah. I think it's looking good because this season did so well.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard to believe that it's not going to get renewed for another season.
Yeah.
So I think the chances are very good. Yeah. I think very good chances.
Yeah. So you're going to come back next season then, Matt? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we already started a new robot, so it's like.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
We can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. With that said, I think that pretty much sums up the RoboCast for this season. Dom and Matt, thank you both very much for joining us this evening. But we do have to thank a few more people. Obviously, we've had a lot of guests this year, so I will have to thank an awful lot of people. Obviously, we have to thank Mr. Psycho. He came with us a couple of times. Misha DeGraff, he's been on an awful lot this season. God bless him. Jack Tweedy, Tom Brewster and Sarah Asplin from Monsoon, Charlie from Good Rebottle, Craig Danby, Stephen and Anthony, of course, from Anarchy, Mitchell, the absolute legend from Orc Wars, Ed Robinson with his shark, Hal with his duck, and obviously you two this evening. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll have something to bring back for you for next season. But
Oh, true.
I'm sure we will do. But with that said, I've been Sam Elliott64.
I've been Anderson9132, the Robots Guru.
And I've been Steve, the American Killjoy.
Yeah, Matt Vasquez from Whiplash.
And I've been a Seaborg.
And we'll probably all see you next season for BattleBots 2019. Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Anyway, with that said,
I know for a fact that 3 of us have absolutely fuck all to do now.
yeah, what are we
With
going to do?
possibly Bite Force returning as a Hall of Fame class robot, assuming they do that every odd number year.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Be nice to see. Be nice to see.
Yeah.
But with that said, hopefully we'll see you next year. And until then, goodbye.